Everybody came to an orientation at one time or another, yeah? So you know all the staff members too. Nimble Dearden runs Kapiko Lele, which is our gift shop downstairs, and Iolani is our office manager and administrative assistant, keeper of the schedule, and that's the maker of the schedule, Mahina Martin. And that's the baboons that has to go run around and do the schedule now.
And Angelique here.
Oh yeah, Angelique, she's behind. Where's she? Oh, she's behind the post.
So she's trying to like be invisible, but that's Angelique, and we welcome her. It's just wonderful to have her here with us.
Take off my goggles. Okay, I'm sorry. I need to breathe a little bit. Christine and I. Christine Machete is for Huiva'a Kaulua. She's the executive director for the project across the street, and they're building the double hull canoes. And we just came from a very exciting meeting, so we're relaxing right now, coming out of that mode. And the way I know how to do it best is to do an oli. So the oli I will open up with the oli, and then I'll expand on why I did that oli and how it relates to this. What I'm going to be doing is giving you information as I know it from my 10 years of working on this project and doing research on it. And I've added two components. One is the component of cultural components that add to the scientific components that we're going to be sharing with you, and that has to do with legends and oral traditions besides just the scientific part of it. And then the other component is language, and that is part of the cultural, but I put it separate because understanding the Hawaiian language opens up the doors to the stories, and opens up the doors to the real meaning of some of these places that we're going to be talking about tonight. So if you have problems understanding the language, pronouncing it, or if I start using a lot of Hawaiian words and then you go, oh, wait, stop me and I'll explain those for you, okay? Okay. Okay, well, ready?
Yeah.
Okay. I think the chant, I'm going to open up with a chant, and basically the chant has to do with these mountains, this entire area as it relates to the ocean in front of us over here at 505 Front Street, connected also to the sea that is in front of that, and then the islands that are out there. And basically from here it's Lanai and Molokai. And the chant has to do with two of the most important things in this West Maui mountain range known as Kahalavai. And those two things are the hill of knowledge called Pu'ukukui, it's the highest point. And the reason why we choose Pu'ukukui, kukui means enlightenment, to be enlightened as well as light. And it is used in paraphrasing I guess the description of Lahaina Luna High School and why the school was put up there. And in their alma mater you hear that word, and I know brother knows because he went Lahaina Luna too, but it has to do with that the strong winds of Kauaula cannot, no matter how hard they blow, they cannot blow out the torch of enlightenment that is Lahaina Luna. So Pu'ukukui represents knowledge, and the other part of it, Kahalawai, and the water, represents life. Water is life. And the name, one of the place names that you're going to hear tonight has to do with the waters of life. It's called Waiola. And so without those two things, we do not exist. So we honor that, and at the same time we say that if you don't use these things, if they are not distributed in whatever way, water is distributed or knowledge is distributed, then you don't get any of that in return. And that makes only sense. People who teach have to teach, and at the same time they need to learn so that they can continue to teach. Otherwise they run out to this certain level, then these people have to go find somebody else to teach them who is at this level. And that's basically where knowledge goes. With the water, if you don't extend the water to everyone and every valley and every place, and you got no food, you got no life, we wouldn't be existing. And so if you just kept the water in a little calabash over here and nobody got to have it, everything else around would die. And so these two things are the most important thing about the West Maui Mountain, and that's what I'm going to open with the chant that has to do with that. Ku hello lama no tara wai wai mo ya I tau I te I he ya vale o pu du du I gu ya era o mauna e ki Kela puoni oe kela kela kele kele I tau ka ola haina na lani nui o mo du ula ula no e o tau a ula Ua kali poali lo I te tai papali mua pi ila ni na tamata ni ne e I te tai ho I te tai vale o miki miki Ki lohi aku ya ka ulula o he au ala neo o mauna lei He lehi te aloha no tahala vai vai maulo a tau I tahano e Eo mau inu ya tama Okay. Make you feel good, yeah? Kind of like, okay, we're ready. Okay, so I'm going to start off with that chant and start off with names. And this is all part of just one part of the whole aspect of this. And this is based, I think what we're going to do tonight is based on land and sea and the surrounding areas. And we're not even getting into the historical aspects of this, but just the Hawaiian perspective of what land is all about. Kahalawai is the West Maui Mountains. I hate that name, so I always try to, I've been the one advocating to change, because West Maui Mountains, even in English, is boring, okay? Doesn't even have an description. The mountains are in West Maui. Wow. Kahalawai, on the other hand, means the meeting. And there's lots of kauna in this word, because you'll see this word in here, and this word, wai, means water. Okay? Hala can mean several things. One, it's a pandanus tree, but in this case I'm using the word ikawai hala, a time of the past. Okay? So, the word halawai means to meet. And ka is always a preposition like the and this and the to meet, but in Hawaiian it would be translating the meeting. Okay? Why? Then you look at the mountain, you go, so why would they call it the meeting? What, they had meetings up there? Did people come for what? They met in up there, or what it is? If you look at our West Maui Mountains, I'm going to give you a kind of rough look at it. Here's Kahului and Wailuya. We have Lahaina over here, and Olowalo, Walu, and you know, as we go all the way up, and you got Honokohau out here, Kahakuloa, okay? The West Maui Mountains, Pu'ukukui is in the center over here. It's the highest point. And that was the hill of enlightenment that I just used in the chant. Next to it is a crater called Eke. And the Hawaiians actually called it Mauna Eke. Mauna Eke. And alongside all of this is a pond that is part of the crater actually. It's a big wetlands, big bog in there, in the center. And that's where a lot of the rain that falls is collected, and in that they call this pond area Violet Lake today. Okay, this pond area in Hawaiian is known as Ki'owai or Kiha. That's where all the water kind of collects, because these points around it is high, little higher up, Pu'ukuku and everything, kind of all comes into this bogged area. Anybody actually had a chance to be up in the center of Kahalawai? They do this once a year. They allow you, they take numbers, I guess they do a pool of names during the Hawaii Nature Conservancy, Hawaii Nature Center's annual trek to Eke or whatever, and what they do is they pull your name. If you get your name pulled, you pay them $500. You're lucky enough to give them $500 and get on a hike that takes them up there. And these are all bog areas. This mountain is the second wettest spot in the world, that area. What is the first wettest spot? Kauai at Waialeale, yeah? This is the second, and in fact, some months, like in this past June, they get more rain here than at Waialeale. So 80 inches this past in 1 month. Okay, so if you look at that, the average is 450 to 650 inches a year. It's plenty. Waialeale is about 5 to 7 or something like that. That's a lot of water. Consequently, you have a great large amount of erosion going on from times past, and what happens is that this pond or bogs empties the water in rivers that flow down to the ocean, and that is what caused the valleys of the West Maui Mountains, along with the wind. And that erosion, and these valleys are the valleys that we know of today. Maui has a name is known as Na Vai Eha, which means the four waters. Eha is the word for four. And that is in reference to Waihe'e, Ehu, Wailuku, or what is known as Iao, and Waikapu. That's these valleys all along here as you're getting into that area. So actually they go down this way. Okay? They all start with this word, wada, wada, wada. Wada, wada, wada. Wada, wada, wada you want. Okay. Anyway, I don't know where I'm going. Anyway, so you got all these valleys, and if you look at this, what do you start to see over here? This word, kahalavai, refers to where the waters meet in one area and then distributed all over. Okay? This is speaking of, I'm sorry I didn't do this earlier, but this is what it is. Past and past. The word wa ihala, or wa, or the time ihala, means the time that passed, the past time. Past, when somebody, ihala, he died, he went past, or past, this kind of a past. So you also get the water pass when you look at this word. Now Hawaiian, that's what I was saying, kahalawai, or just one Hawaiian word, if you really examine it and look through the language, you're going to find all the things that refer to that make sense for this one area. Okay? The meeting, where the waters pass, all come together in the word itself. Now why would that be important to what we're talking about over here? And I'll get to this part later on. Well, one of those valleys that it empties out is this valley right here between the two mountains. And in the daytime, it would be better that we go out there and actually look. And I'm going to talk about these mountains now and then the explanation of why that is important to us. The mountain on the far right kind of look like this. I had to put that in. It's called Mauna Kawahine. Wahine Mountain. Guys, wait, slide this thing. You can see. So look at it. Why would they call it that? Oh, I know you all got it. You just don't want to say it. It looks like a vagina is what it is, okay? Actually, what the Hawaiians believed it was is more of a womb than just a vagina, the womb. Okay? Then you got this valley in here, and you got this other hill that kind of comes like this. But as you can see, it turns, and the ridgeline comes down in the front. And right in between here is this valley. And the valley is known as Kauaula, which Pukui in her dictionary calls or translates as the red rain. Okay? But I'll tell you something else a little later. Then you got this ridge line over here, kind of a big ridge line. And this ridge line or hill of its own is called Mo'o. Guess what? Evangelique. Mo'oahia. Sorry. Mo'oahia means obscured lizard. Or mo'o. I hate to use the word lizard because it really wasn't a lizard. Okay? Then you have another hill off to the left over here, the one with the big L on it. Anybody know what that name of that mountain is? Mount what? Mount Ball is what they've always called it in recent times. The actual Hawaiian name for it is Pa'u Pa'u. The word Pa'u, not Pa'u or Pa'u. See, in Hawaiian you can say it all different ways, but Pa'u means soot. And really what this is a cinder cone. So, these mountains are important. If you look in the background over here, covered with clouds, and usually always covered with clouds, this is the back ridge line. That if you go over that ridge line, you come out on the other side around the Wailuku. Actually, you come out more in the Waihe'e and Wai'ehu side of the mountains. If you go Launiopoko or to Olawalu, you would come out in Iao over this ridge line. The ridge line is called Kahili. And there's a lot of documentation about Kahili because when Kamehameha came to fight a war over here, and Kahikili didn't expect his arrival, or did expect his arrival, and instead of staying down here where he could get attacked, he took his army and they stood up on the ridge at Kahili, and they held their ground at that. That was the first time Kamehameha came, and by using that as a fortress. So Kahili Ridge, what does the word Kahili mean? You guys know this, I know. Kahili, what is a Kahili? Feather standard, okay? You see this at all the pageantry stuff that we do today when Kamehameha, the court walks around. You got these two guys holding these feather standards. What does the feather standard represent? Royalty, the ali'i. That means there's ali'i around. Some kind of royalty. Okay? So, If you have kahili sitting in the background, everything in the front of it is what? Ali'i. Okay? It's another thing. This valley, the kama'aina of this place, people of Lahaina, the elders, speak of this valley as Rainbow Valley. You see the tourists do this all the time. It's kind of neat. You wonder, how come the tourists, they're driving by, got all the ocean to see over there. They stop on the side of the road. What they taking pictures of?
Rainbow.
The rainbows and the mountains. You know why? The ocean is beautiful, and they have that in front of their hotel, and they got a lot of pictures of that. But what they don't have is these kinds of beautiful mountains, and they don't see these all the time. So to them, it's like, rainbow, get out, stop, take picture. For Hawaiian, the word for rainbow is anuenue, but the word for this arch shape is called pio. Okay? The reason why this is so important in Hawaiian is because in the rank of the high chiefs, there's a thing called ni'au pio. Ni'au pio. Ni'au pio means to take the mid-rib of the coconut leaf and take it and bend it back on each other. So you got this arch too, just kind of like a rainbow, more of a circle. And this was used in almost everything that the Hawaiians had that represented royalty. If I did this right now, it's going to blow you away. You know what this is. What is that? And who wore this helmet? The ali'i only. Okay? The pure arching of the helmet represents this kind of chief, which represents the highest ranking chiefs, because the highest ranking chiefs were products of intermarriage within the same family. It was just like the Europeans did this so that they would preserve the bloodline. So, highest ranking chiefs were called ni'au pio rank. And it represents this arching, being as one. So the high chiefs wore this. Now these helmets were not worn by just all the chiefs, only the highest chiefs. So this is the Kamehameha kind of helmets, okay? So here we got rainbows, the kahili, mauna kawahine. Let's work on that one. Mauna kawahine, Wahine Mountain. My thing was that, okay, that's important, but what does that have to do with ali'i and chiefs and the chiefly lines? Well, it took the people from Rapa Nui who came here about 1.5 years ago because they heard the word Moku Ula. And when they heard that word, they had recognized it as being part of their language in a legend that spoke of Motu Ura, which is the same thing. And at Motu Ura, there was a mountain located in the area called Motu Ura known as Mauna Te Wahine is how they say it, Mauna Kawahine. And it says in that mountain that Mai ta mauna tawahine, mai ta mo'o, that the mo'o came from. A mo'o is a lizard type of, you might say it's a lizard deity that was part of the Hawaiian religion system. And the mo'o was born here at Mauna Tawahine. And the mo'o lele, the mo'o leaped out of the womb of the wahine, and it leaped down into the Pacific, where its umbilical cord, or piko, was continued to be attached until it got to a place down in the Pacific, and it dropped its umbilical cord over there. It released it at that point, and it fell into the ocean and became te pito o te whenua. Or in Hawaiian, kapiko o kahonua, which means the umbilical cord of the earth. And that became the island known as Rapa Nui. And the people at Rapa Nui called their island Te Pito o Te Whenua. Okay? At that point, the mo'o landed in the ocean after dropping his, and walked across what we call mo'otu. The mo'o took steps. Tu is to stand in Hawaiian. Ku. Then the mo'oku across, took steps across the Pacific, till he got to a place, an island, where he made his home in the islands known as Tahiti, on an island called Mo'orea. So, these mo'otus are today known as the motus, or for those in Tahiti, tuamotu. And those just mean the mo'o's steps. And so as the mo'o walked across, he created the islands. Ding, 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 ding. And if you know anything about Pacific or Polynesian geology and geography, you'll know that these are Tuamotu islands that reach right across. A whole bunch of islands that come in to become society. I mean, all the different Marquesas and beyond. So these are the footsteps of the mo'o. So what does that mean? What does that interpret? How does that relate to this place, and why that mountain? Well, first of all, the mo'o itself represents not so much the deity, but its real true meaning has to do with its, again, language. Mo'o is the lizard, right? As we know it. The other Hawaiian interpretation of the word mo'o, it means embryo. It is the fertilized egg. Now, if you had class, like I did, sex education, and then they was talking about how babies came about, they showed you that close-up picture of the embryo. And inside the egg had one little thing like this, little looking like kind of something like that. Yeah? You remember that? Or was the only one had that class? And they said, this is the embryo, the beginning of life. And this is what it looks like. Well, flash kind of looks like a little lizard to me. So maybe that's why they use that word to describe it. Okay? Now the embryo, the mo'o, comes from, as the Hawaiians say, from the puna, the spring. The word puna means a spring. In other words, this embryo is living in, what does it live in while it's growing inside the human's body? Water. Okay? So the mo'o comes from the puna. The woman, the first generation is the puna, the woman. The second is the mo'o, the embryo. Now the mo'o grows up and has a child of its own. It has its own child. The child becomes the mo'o puna. In other words, this word mo'opuna is the word for grandchild. It is the grandchild of the puna, or what we call today kupuna. You guys getting this? Yes. I try to move slow because I want everybody to absorb. So Hawaiian word mo'o, mo'opuna. Now, the word for genealogy or generations is mo'okuauhau. So everything that follows mo'opuna becomes mo'okuauhau. All the rest of the generations that follow in this line over here. Okay? The word for story or history or legend is mo'olelo. And mo'olelo is the story and history that has come through all of these generations. What is the word that you keep seeing that goes through this whole thing? Okay, so mo'o represents what really? No? It represents mankind, human being, generation after generation after generation. So how does that relate to this again? The chiefs, the reason why they were chiefs is because they could recite their genealogies all the way back from the beginning of time, from what they believe was the beginning of time. That gave them the right to rule because they connected themselves to the gods. And then they can say, I am godlike because I descended from this whole thing. This gave them that right by knowing what they mo'okua, how mo'olelo, everything all the way back to that. They said, I'm somebody. Only the chiefly genealogies were preserved because they passed on from generation to generation in their own line. The chiefs would find somebody that would sit there for their whole life and memorize all of those generations and all those names. And then when they were just about to, knowing that they were going to go, they passed it to the next person and the next person. And that orator, that person that stayed with the chiefly families and learned this and was part of the kahuna, who it's called kahuna ku'auhau. And this is the guy, when you see the ceremonies that you see today, walking in the front going, and he's walking and chanting ahead of the court, bringing all the people behind him. What he's reciting is the genealogy of the chief. To say that this is why this guy is somebody, because he came from all these people and he was somebody. So pay attention, fall down on the ground. I'm coming. The kahuna ku'auhau were responsible for knowing this and passing it on from generation to generation. So the mother of even the beginnings is right here in Lahaina. And I'm getting chicken skin saying this, but Mama is over here. Took somebody from the South Pacific to come over here and tell us that. Okay? Now, that's the woman thing. Mo'oahia. How come the mountain is called that? The other mountain right next, we just got through explaining this connection. We got this other one right over here. What is that all about? This mountain over here, that if you look from the top, that's what you're going to see. If you go out there in the day, you'll see. This is the head, this is the body, and the tail go behind over here. The head turning like this, the thing is coming around like that. In the day, certain ways, the word ahia, by the way, means obscure. Not quite sure. Depending, right? You know that, huh? That's her last name, that's why I'm saying that. Oh, I'm sorry. Not her last name, but her family last name. Anyway, the mo'o ahia can be seen depending on what time, where you are. Usually later in the sunset period, the arms are more obvious. You can see that because the shadows hit the mountain in a different way. So depending where you are, it's not always there, it's just only sometimes there. And it's a guardian. And sometimes there is exactly what the Hawaiians refer to as that Amakua, the protector. You're not always around, you know. It's like people always go, oh, that's my Amakua, the shark is my Amakua, you know. So I said, oh yeah, good. What is his name? Usually, when people tell you that, you tell them, what is the name? Because Aumakua are in your genealogy. It is usually somebody that had lived at one time or another in your family who was so wonderful in their earthly life that they perform what they call a rite or a ritual that makes them the Aumakua, that gives them the right to become this protector in your family. And then, when necessary to protect you, they take the form of the animal that they're referring to at that time to protect you. So, if anybody tell you, don't go kill the sharks because that's my Aumakua, they don't know what they're talking about, okay? Because Hawaiians killed the sharks, believe me. That's why we get weapons and tools and drums, heads. You think they would take sacred things and pound them on a drum or pull out their teeth and make weapons out of them? They needed those sharks. There were specific ones that were specific family members that were fed or trained or worked with by the family because they knew that that was their family member taking form of this shark, that specific one. Everyone out there is not Aumakua. Let me tell you, if one bit me, I would try and kill it too, okay? Because that's certainly not my Aumakua protecting me. Excuse me, you bit me. So Aumakua has to be in your genealogy, and it has to have a name. They have to know who that person is. Now, that's the shark side. Aumakuas include mo'os, which are the lizard-likes, the puel, okay? We got honu, the turtles, okay? Because almost every Hawaiian person you ask, they're going to tell you, my Aumakua is the mano, the shark. I said, geez, you're playing shark Aumakuas, man. Everybody get one shark Aumakua. I said, nobody get, how about a turtle? Somebody needs to have a turtle. And they manifest the form from the spirit of this person in your genealogies. They take the form of whatever it is necessary at that time to help you. So you might be driving along, and I know of a story from Pua Kanahele, if any of you know her from the Big Island, who was driving along the road, and a puel owl came down and swooped by her car. And she said, oh my goodness, what did a stupid owl doing? He's going to get hurt. He's swooping by my car. So she kept driving along, swoop again, and oh boy, For her now, their line, the puel is not their, what she doesn't go around saying, the puel is my Aumakua. But the idea was that she was paying attention to this. And it's like twice he came by. The third time when she saw it, it was on the road, stopped. It had landed on the road in front of her car, and as she approached, she saw that. And she went, slowed down and stopped. Because now she didn't want to hit it. And she got out of the car to kind of like move shit along, and this bird stayed there, wouldn't move. Which is very unusual. They usually get frightened and fly away. So as she approached it, she got close enough where just beyond the bird, she noticed that the road had a huge crack in it from an earlier volcanic activity that might have just in that area opened up the road, which would have meant that she would have got hurt in her car if she kept driving through that area. Now, at that point, she acknowledged this puel as the Aumakua. Somebody in my family took that bird and said, we got to stop her from driving over there. And that became her Aumakua. Okay? It's a little different, yeah, than what we thought earlier. Oh, everything's my Aumakua. Anyway, that was a sidetrack to the real story. So, mo'oahia, obscured lizard. The Aumakua is not always there. It's there, it's not there. It appears, it disappears. Okay? But the whole thing about explaining these mountains and the Kahalavai is that the Hawaiians had a person who was responsible specifically for choosing the place where the chiefs live. They didn't just go live anywhere. They didn't say, we'll go here, we'll go live over here. This kahuna spent hours and time, and they meditated and they chanted and they figured out kahuna kuhi kuhi pue one, where we're going to choose to put this ali'i. And guess what? They chose over here. Now why? Because of all the reasons I told you earlier, and even more. Kahuna kuhi pue one. The name of this ahupua'a is Waine'e, moving water. What does water give us? What did I tell you? Life, ola, life. Okay? Now if you get plenty of water, you are wai, rich and wealthy. That's the Hawaiian word for rich and wealthy. Oh, wow, man, making sense, making sense. So, you know, if I was rich and wealthy, okay, you're rich and wealthy, and knowing, you know, our area over here in Lahaina, you going to live on the beach at Ka'anapali, or you going to David Malo housing? Which would you choose? The nice house on the beach at Ka'anapali, I think that one out by, I think I would go there too, right? Why? Because that is considered the place where rich and wealthy people live. The Hawaiians considered places that had lots of water as being rich and wealthy. So you choose that place. Not only that, but besides the wai, and which the wai also brought what? Food, yeah? But also because they looked at the kai, which is the ocean, and there's a reef out in front of this whole area that extends from Mala all the way down to Launiopoko. And this reef is known as, this is from the 14th century, the Hawaiian name is Kapapa Limu a Pi'ilani, I'm sorry. The Limu Reef of Pi'ilani. Limu is a kind of food source that we love. It's abundant out here. Limu, that limu brings in the fish to eat the limu. Okay? So now you get all of that wonderful thing. The reef also acts to bring in or create snurf. Okay? Surf. The best surfing spot in Lahaina is known as U'o, and it's located right in the front over here. To the right is Keawaiki, and it's also the name, the old name for the harbor, Lahaina harbors. How many of you surf? Anybody surf over here? That's the place where everybody go, okay? Over here when they in this place, you know, right? Okay, harbors. We're going harbors. Uwo is the kind of shark pit. That's what they call it today. Just giving you the modern terminology for these places. But surfing was reserved for who? Who did the surfing? Onedali'i. Who got all the fish? Onedali'i. They get the thing, they get the surf, they get the this, they get the water, they get the food, they get the thing. And they're sitting over here in the moving water place known as Waine'e, with the kahilis and the amakuas and the mother of the mo'o behind them, and this is mine. And don't you even come over here. Wow. Why? Because I told you earlier, as far as we know in history, Pi'ilani was the first that we have in our legendary history as well as historical history. First one to actually make his home here in Lahaina. Pi'ilani had 4 children. They were Kiha Pi'ilani, who became chief, Lono'a Pi'ilani, who became the chief, or was the chief before Kiha, a daughter named Pi'ilani, I'm sorry, Wahine, high-ranking, who married another chief, and another daughter named Kalaiheana, who didn't live very long. She lived into her late teens, is what we understand. And at that point, because of her specialness, while she was here on earth, she was an e'epa kind of child, they deified her and made her the Mo'o'amakua. She's in their family line. Why? Because in the Pi'ilani line of chiefs, dates back all the way to the beginnings of our genealogies. He can tie in directly back to Mo'o'inanea, the biggest, the one that I told you started the whole chain. And in their line, every once in a while, somebody was deified and made these Mo'o'amakua. And it happened in his time with his last daughter, who they made into the Mo'o'amakua, and they called her Kihavahine. Kihavahine became one of the most worshipped Mo'o'amakuas in all of the land. People started adopting her as the akua that they took care of. Because all mo'os were responsible for water, fresh water. They were the ones that guarded they were the guardians of the fresh water. They were freshwater nymphs or whatever you want to call them. But their job was to take care of fresh water. Okay? So she became one of those and became highly prized and highly worshipped. And she was known to have visited different ponds on the island. But she lived in the pond known as Mo'okuhinia, and I'll explain that later, or Mokuhinia, which happens to be what you're looking at over here, which happens to be across the street. But she also visited the ponds known as Kanaha, which is, you know where that is? It's called Mauoni, is the real name of it. Kanaha means 40. It's not Kanaha Beach Park, no. Kanaha, meaning 40, means because there were 40 individual ponds that made up that whole area over there. Mauoni is the Hawaiian name for those ponds, okay? And Hane'o'o, anybody been to Hana? Hane'o'o is a pond, also in Hana. And Kealia, where's that? Huh? Ma'alaya. These are all pond places. And this mo'o moved through underground tunnels, or what they call luas, or you might call them lava tubes, and was able to travel between ponds in that way, is what we understand. Being that this was her home, in the Waine'e Ahupua'a, the ili, or the smaller land division in the Ahupua'a, here's the Ahupua'a, Waine'e, which, by the way, here's the ocean, extends out to the sea, okay, to the Papalimu'a, Pi'ilani, and everything is included in the Ahupua'a. This is the ocean line. Within the Ahupua'a, there's a place here, and that place was called Kalua o Kiha, or the den or the pit of Kiha, Kihavahine, the mo'o. And it was located under the island of Moku'ula in what was a lava tube that came from the West Maui Mountains that empties out into the ocean. Okay? Now, when they were building the swimming pool by where she works, there's a little empty gated area, then you got the swimming pool. Okay, this is the highway over here, let's say. This is the pool, and got a little empty gated area out over here. And it's kind of lowlands, always floods. They took equipment from Front Street and they parked these big tractors over here while they was doing that. One of these big heavy tractors went boogunk and fell and broke into the lava tube that feeds this. This Ahupua'a is Waine'e, moving water. This lava tube is today a rivulet that actually has the water from the West Maui Mountain that soaks through the mountain, comes through the lava tube in a stream and flows under the ground over here. And it has little places where the water can come out. And these are called springs, or puna is the Hawaiian word for that. So it's fed by natural spring water. There was another stream that flowed into this place. It was actually an awai, an offtake from the stream, and it was known as Pahu Mana Mana. And that means, Pahu means a container, something that holds something full of mana. Bringing the mana water from Kawaula, that sacred valley, into this area. So you got above ground streams, underground springs that feed the natural wetlands known as. Now this is how it works at every place.
Is that the one that was Canal Street?
This is the ditch area by, here's the here's the Hongwanji over here, actually over here you would say. And then the ditch is green, slimy stuff that comes down over here, and then got the cultural center over here. This ditch was actually originally an awai that fed all of the taro fields and fish ponds of this area. The ditch is still there. What they did is they put something under the road over here. It's a you know, one of those cement tubes that, but actually it used to just flow naturally. It's an offtake from the main stream. So you get all of that, you get the water, you get Kalua Okiha over here. She's sitting underneath that thing in the lua, in the cave underneath here. People used to come and do worship over here to this area. They would come, ask for the permission, do the whole thing. And this is described to me. They take their offering and go into the pond and dive down under the island and place it in the tube areas, probably an opening, put the offering over there, pile them up, come back up out of the water and run. Because what it was described as happening is this kind of churning of the water and then gone. So as recently, and this is kind of heavy, but it's written in the Ruling Chiefs by Samuel Kamakau, who was a historian of the period around 18, I don't even know, I'm not real good at dates. But one of the chiefesses was going from Moku'ula Island on a canoe across the way to go to church at Waiola. So it's recent times, church was there. As she was going across, and people were all standing, the maka'ainana who were standing off on the way off on the shores were watching this, probably a regular routine of hers, you know, and all the crowd going, oh, the queen going somewhere. It's like in England when the queen travels, everybody's standing watching, right? They actually witnessed this canoe being turned up from under the water by some form that they described as being the mo'o amakua, and flipping the canoe over and tossing her into the water in her anguish, the mo'o's anguish for some reason, or did this. And that's pretty recent times. So whether we believe it or not, that's the historical aspects that kind of support the concepts of the Hawaiian aspects of Moku'ula. Okay? And I'm going to give you the last thing, and that's all, because that's too much. You guys are all blind already. Everybody looking, oh. But to understand everything else that we talk about historically, you need this background, otherwise you're not going to get it, okay? This is the name of the pond, or ponds, I like to say, because they were more than one pond, as shown. It's not like it's shown here in the picture. And this is the name of the island in the middle of the pond that was the home to the chiefs. And as I explained earlier, please keep in mind that when we talk about the home of the chiefs, we don't mean the spot over here. We mean this. Okay? Because if you get plenty of money, you don't buy that 6,000 square foot lot, okay? You go and buy the 45 acres and put your house on it, right? Same thing, okay? Because why I try to get people to think that way is because they always say, oh, you know that project in Lahaina, you know that island. So I said, oh, they're making our thing so small. Like, it's really big. Okay, so then knowing all of that, then we go and we examine the Hawaiian names again. Moku is the word for island. And ula means sacred or red. Okay, so we said, Red Island must be sacred island because it seems sacred. The place was sacred. We know all these other facts. So sacred island is the literal translation. Then we took the pond name and we said Moku, island, Hinia, and we went to every linguist, Hawaiian language specialist around the whole place and native speakers and everybody, and they told me, they said, never heard of it. Doesn't exist in the Hawaiian language. No such word as hinia. And by the way, if you're talking about pond, why is it called island? So after further research from who is now known as the guru of Hawaiian language, Puakea Nogomeyer, he said, here's the word kuhinia, and it's also in chants. And I'm going to use it for my closing chant. Kuhinia means rich, wealthy, fat. Oh, so what is mo then? Mo is mo. Or another way of saying this, dialect-wise, Hawaiians, instead of saying mo'o, they used to just go mo, and that would mean mo'o. So the rich, wealthy, fat mo'o then. Yeah. Well, if that was the case, then why is this sacred island? It is an island. If we take mo out as the mo'o, then what we have left is what is known as ku'ula. And a ku'ula is an altar that was built usually around fishing grounds, down by the ocean, or in ponds or around ponds. So what does moku'ula mean? It is the altar for the mo'o. And where was moku'ula? Over here. And what was under moku'ula? At Kalua Okiha? The mo'o. So now I'm in big trouble because I'm like now challenging Mary Kavenapukui and those kind of things and saying, maybe they didn't know the area well enough. They saw the word and translated literally moku'ula, but by knowing all the background, maybe not sacred island, and maybe not. And so this is where we are today. Does that make sense to everybody? You guys getting all this? Because we're not ever going to talk about all this stuff again, because now it's like just a real, you know, but you need to have that background, and without that background, it's not going to happen. Okay, you ready? You're going to help me with this, because you guys all are sleeping, and you're going to put me to sleep. If you go. You guys going to stand up, and you're going to clap. I'm going to do this chant that talks about this place and this island, and that word you're going to hear at the end, that word kuhinia. Oh, I'm sorry, you gotta kind of like split in half because you can see. You should photograph them actually. Clapping, no need me. Okay, I go this side. Come. Okay. So you guys gonna clap like this. Oh, 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 oh. Looks like being in our movies. It's gonna be 3 claps. This chant was we found it in on a research project to come up with come up with Chants of Maui. And it talks about a very special place that we all live in, Maui. But it's a bragging chant, one of the rare ones that specifically says that, look where I live, Maui, and you know, we're lucky over here and get all kind of good things going on. And you know what, this is chiefly lands that we live in, and it is the best ever. So we're going to move right into the chant as soon as he cuts the film. Translate to English. Luck. Ka'a is what? Or rolling. Ka'aiya. Okay, that means rolling. Okay, all the luck has rolled in to Maui. All of Maui, Apau. Okay, and then it goes Nani lahaina. Oh, of course they're going to talk about us. I ka'u ike. Beautiful is Lahaina in my estimation. Uapuni o Maui me kanani. You know why she cannot do this? Because this is poetic writing. It's different than language, than just talking. Uapuni o Maui me kanani. Puni is to surround. All of Maui is surrounded with beauty. A ohemea e like aku. There is nothing like it. There's nothing that can compare, in other words, to this beauty. Ua pa'a kamana'o e ike Ua pa'a kamana'o e ike is within my mind, the vision is set. In other words, what I saw is always permanently within my mind. All the beauty that I saw. Upa kamana'o e ike inali'i. And this word, that part is not used, although it means to say Oka aina. Kuhinia. Here we go. Maui. It's all set within my mind. Those beautiful, chiefly and rich, wealthy lands of Maui. And this chant was found in a old Hawaiian newspaper and had never been published before. But check out this a little bit, brother. I think he's struggling with trying to move his camera over there, the camera man. You gotta face him. And then, so this chant was never released before, but just so happened that prior to doing research on this, we found this chant which tied in this to that and so forth, and then it was like, oh, this makes sense. Okay, so we're going to do this. I learned this actually with Kelly Irashel, Puakana Hele, and we were all in a training class, Hokulani Hotpadilla, and what we were trying to do was take these chants that we saw on paper and in magazines and try and give it some life by adding the ea or the rhythm and how you did it. So we decided that this one needed something that was up because we say, all the luck rolled in on us, beautiful Lahaina, look, out of all, you go all around Maui, it's beautiful. And there's nothing like what we have over here, because once you get here and you see it, the bug's stuck in your mind, because this is the only rich chiefly lands of all Maui. Okay? So, that's what we're going to do. So we did it this way. You're going to clap like this. And then, wait. Okay, keep going. You can come with me. Come on. Slow down. Okay, what happens? This is what happens. It's what's called a choo-choo chain effect. We start off like this, and by the end, right. And then after, I gotta chant faster and faster, and then I fall down on the ground, and I go, okay, never mind. We're not gonna do that. So we gotta keep that pace at the same pace. And you're gonna hear me chanting how the rhythm goes, so don't kind of accelerate, okay? Because right now I'm fragile. My heart is not so good. I've been working late and everything. I really feel like I fall off that train. You know? Okay, you ready? Go. Haua ka'aia lakia mawia pauna nila haina I ka ui ke ua puni o Maui me ka nani ao he mea e ke aku ua pa'a ka mana'o he I nali I o ka aina kuhini a Maui There you go. Right on. Thank you. Okay. Energy. Okay, you can ask questions if you want to. I'll be sitting here on my table.
Ka'ua'ula.
Ka'ua'ula. Oh yeah. Ka'ua'ula. Now, what were we talking about? Birth with the thing, right? We talked about the mo'o and the importance of life and going on. And now, ka'ua'ula can mean ka'ua'ula, red rain, like Mary Kavenapukui said. And that is a translation because ua is rain and ula is red and ka is, again, the red rain. But the Hawaiians also have this. Ka'ua means me and you, duels, two people. Ka'ua. Now, remember I was talking about rainbow? It's that intermarriage, brother and sister, that creates life. It's the Mauna Kawahini that creates life. It is the mo'o that it represents genealogies and life and all those people. And it takes two to tango, right? So down in the area of Waine'e was a stone that was described in when they did the land divisions. It was a large pohaku kane that sat in the area along the back walls of where the Waiola church is. There was a division there. And for some reason they believe it might have fell into the pond. But where's the picture of the mausoleum? I mean, our monument. Is that on the wall over there? The monument one. Betty Hayes one. The one in the ugly frame right over here. The monument one. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So, this stone in existence represents what we know as the Pohaku Kane. Yeah. Was free. You know how we gotta go scrounge. He said, we got the picture, you can frame them. Okay, and it came back, it was like, oh, it's a Monet now, you know. It went from just a picture to like, oh. Anyway, okay, the Pohaku Kane, this stone was said to have been in that area back there. Now, again, Kane also represents, for Hawaiians, Kane is the creator, and he also represents, or is the one that brought rain and fresh water. Him and Kanaloa went around the island putting holes in the thing and making the springs come to life. So, again, life and water. And so you get this Pohaku Kane. When we placed the Pohaku Kane, we looked, where was the Pohaku Kane pointing to, or where was it? Right inside Mauna Kawahine, okay? Of course, creating life. And so, when we look again at Ka'ua'ula, and we look at this, and we look at these relationships, it's all man, woman, it's all duals, two create the third. And so Ka'ua, the sacredness of dualities. The sacredness of coming together, man and woman, and the sacredness of creation. Because I don't know how long I lived here, but I never see red rain come out of that valley yet, okay? And I've even been in there when it was raining. I even checked. You know, because Hawaiians gave names to places for specific reasons that it had to reflect that. And if it doesn't, then it's not for real. Okay? So that answers your question, Carl. Anybody else? Roll in, roll in, roll in. No? You get them then? Okay. So that's number 1 class. Please keep this. You're going to edit this tape. And if you need to look at it, please do, because now I don't have to do them again, yeah? Next! So from the next time, that the next training class will be specifically, or more specifically, on the area itself. Historical documentation and archaeology. We're going to move into those phases of the whole thing. And then as we go along, you're going to see how even those things tie back again to what I talked about today. Okay?
When do they expect the next meeting?
I don't know. When do you expect the next? No, that's me. I just go. The schedulers.
Oh, probably January.
January. Yeah, after I survive the holiday.
Yeah.
So yeah, probably January. So if you get lost in between that, we do have other things that do go on, and we'll be keeping you in touch as to what else is going on. So connect to that. Thank you, sir. I appreciate your time. Thanks.
You have to understand that this morning at 8:30 we had 200.
200
fifth graders.
No,
So
6th and 7th grade.
So we went from 200 kids with a painting in our pocket and him. And we broke them up, and with you helping us.
I had to have 1 hour recovery from that, man. That was like, whoa.
Yeah, that was really
The energy that they would suck out of me was just unbelievable. So,
But then we discovered a great way to end it.
yeah.
We had the rubber stamp with a with our logo. So we went around and stepped it. And I was like, these things for the whole day. It's all they're gonna remember.
Yeah, they were like, step me, step me, step me. So I was over there. That killed about half an hour of the presentation. It was like, good, stamp, stamp. So it was like,
Even foreheads. Stamp. Everything they were giving us foreheads, hands, arms,
hey, put
everything.
them over here, put them over here.
Yeah. It's the only thing you got of it. So ending today
Ah.
was interesting with all of you.
Yeah, thank you. This is much better. Okay, I rather deal with the adults a little less.
Where's the old picture behind it? The one we today?
Oh yeah. I had them all stacked up on that with my book, with the book and everything. Yeah, yeah. I'm just gonna drop them over here. We just got in from Bishop Museum. We went to the museum archives and we pulled all the old pictures of this area, very old pictures, and we had them blown up to large size, and we got them over here. So you gotta see it. No. This is a classic. We are going to keep this. I said, because she said, we got to get rid of that frame. And I said, no, because, you know, as we actually evolve into maybe a real organization, I said, we can not beg anymore and really have a good one. But we always got to be reminded that there it is. We have to be humble from our humble beginnings. You want to tell that? What happened?
No.
Oh. Okay. This is the pond, and it stretches across over here. I mean, the island with the pond in the front, and some more island stuff over here that you're gonna see with ponds surrounding. So I'm gonna leave them up here. This is Nahi Anna's home. Was on the. You remember what you were saying? That it was on the beach side, Kamehameha side of the Waine'e area, in a place called Kalua Ehu. So that ili was called Kalua Ehu. That ili on this side was called Kalua Okiha. Okay, and this is her home modified with windows. Okay, this is actually Hale Kamani, was the original tomb for the chiefesses. And then when they built the new tomb, they took the bodies out of there and removed them, and Nahianena's made a home out of it, stayed there, kind of like in worship of the family. But then this actual picture is at the time when this gentleman named Gorman actually leased it from the kingdom. And that's why the patio part, a little more additions that he added on to the home. And then these are the ponds looking from south, from Shaw Street toward Ka'anapali. So it's at this angle, more, what would you call that, north and south, I guess, than east-west. These are more east, these other ones are east-west. You're looking into the east over here, and the west is behind you. This is north-south view. Yeah, south to north. Yeah, there you go. Something like that. But you know, the mountain is always there. It's in all these pictures, and this is how we can identify. Actually, this picture about 8 years ago, when we first identified this picture at the archives, they had it described as Waikiki, because Waikiki was swamp. And the sea actually all filled with water, and that was Keaho Kona, Lahaina Maui, and Waikiki Oahu. So they said Waikiki, and I was the one that said, that's Waihi Mountain. That's not no Waikiki. What you guys talking about? So I made one stick. Anyway, they finally changed the information. Waikiki is not Waikiki. But it's interesting to note the old Waiola'a Church. And I have another really great thing that really made us think. This is the old Waiola'a Church. This picture was taken in 1893. In the story of what happened here in Lahaina, in 1893 was the overthrow of the Hawaiian kingdom. What happened was Liliuokalani visited Lahaina all the time, and she stayed with the families over here, and they always had parties for her. And she actually stayed with the Aholo family of Lahaina. She ended up adopting the youngest, daughter of the Aholos called Lydia, and she took this daughter with her. She raised the daughter, Lydia Aholo. There's an Aholo street right down the road over here. That was their property. That's why the street is named that. So she became very close with the people here in Lahaina. When the overthrow was happening in Honolulu and the people heard about it, and they knew that the overthrow was pretty much started and run by a group of businessmen that were really descendants of the missionaries. That's all of, you know, the Dole, the Big Five, and all A and B's and all that kind of stuff, who were part of that crew that did the overthrow. So, tying the missionary thing to churches, the people of Lahaina got together, and this is all written in historical fact, and burned down the church. Waiola'a Church was then called Waine'e Church. They lit the church on fire, destroying all the records. So what you see over here is interesting because it is the bottom frame and the whole roof is gone because the roof was wood. The frame was block, coral block at that time. So it's all gone, and you even can see that the coconut trees that are alongside the church are missing the top because that burned when the roof was burning. So, and this picture was taken in 1893 when the people went and burned down the church. So, and then in their records, Waiola'a Church, they'll tell you that the church was burned down in 1893 by the parishioners themselves, Hawaiians who went over there and said, in protest, we're going to burn down your church. Okay? Now, they weren't protesting against Keakua because they loved that. What they were doing was symbolizing those who ascended from these people who started the church. Kind of neat. So here you go. You guys want to look? It's all yours.
Which is the picture that appeared?
Oh, that's this one.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wait, what? The umbrella thing?
No, not that.
You have the video camera? He's videoing. He videotaped Akoni's making. Videotaping that.
Yeah. Okay, but I did find it. Thank you, though. Thank you.
They just played it. Cool, huh?
I'm going to be gone for a couple of days next week. Would you? I'm going to Oahu with Akoni and Akana. And so there's going to be some extra shifts. Would you want to work an extra shift? You don't need to.
You gotta hear this one more time.
Okay. It could be like, it would be probably like Tuesday. Oh, okay.
Oh, and then
Monday, Tuesday.
I can't do something. There's no way that I can.
Okay, and you don't have to. No, that's fine, because I can.
Yeah.
Supposed to see the pictures.
Oh, no, there's pictures.
If you want it, that's all.
Those are pictures we took once.
Okay.
Maybe that dust will blow out. Rain will mix. Maybe but if he says he does,
Bring your stuff out.
that's an out.
Oh, no. I was telling
Like he said, it's hard for him to be challenging people and very committed people and stuff like that. But if they're only translating it literally, you don't know about how long behind the place, the area. That's not like we got it. I don't want to go over there talking. Whoa, man, you crazy. Swallowed up. That's alright. I don't want to bring them back.
We went to a waterfall one day, and like hiking, and he didn't come back. And 10 years later, he came back, and he said he'd been gone for 2 days, and he met a woman at this waterfall, and he had made love with her for like, that was just for a couple days, and came back. It was 10 years, and after a couple months after he came back, he died, and they believed it was a momo, and then she like sucked the momo out of him until he was practically dead, and then he died.
Wow. No, I know.
Right here? But there's like 2 different kinds of moas. I guess there's a sort of like.
If you look, they were dredging a fish farm, and she kept on breaking like that. And so, the 89, 1990s, and the crane was still there in the pond. In the middle of the pond, and the guy told me the story. He said, if you look up at the mountain, there's a mo'o going after a he'e on top of them. The mountains are shaped like an octopus. And it's just trying to protect
I never heard of that story.
I try not to get into all the supernatural stuff, because I don't want to bring them back. They sleep with us, the people. You stay here, we're happy where we're at. I don't know if I can. People start doing that stuff.
Which part? It wasn't.
Oh, did I add
Just thinking about that. This and this.
It didn't hurt her.
Yeah.
She wasn't injured.
It was sort of like mocking her, sort of like
Yeah.
mocking her.
Putting her in her place.
Yeah.
I think. She wasn't cooperating. But yeah.
Classes. Man, we can teach Hawaiian. We need to learn Hawaiian. The Hawaiians never teach you to learn Hawaiian.
Okay, now I'm gonna print it. What's your journal?
I had that first assembly. And the pastor was like, that's weird. I did it. I need to learn how to speak Hawaiian. Sit down.
I'm gonna buy that stuff.
In January, we'll probably get started.
I'm gonna buy that.
So, Monday night,
Oh,
start all the way. Start all the way from the beginning. No matter what will I take, we'll have to start from the beginning too, because that's where everybody needs to start. And then advance classes there.
Like non-members in church.
You know, at least learn the pronunciation.
This is going to be a
and
problem.
some a little conversation.
You can change it to 18 now.
I have a hard time hearing the difference between like the different words that are
Same, like
the different intonations. I have a hard time. I'm not very good. I don't have a good ear for that with language generally, and I have a hard time.
I grew up in a Calvary church. I grew up in St. Louis. And I miss it every once in a while. I go.
They don't do your church at all.
They do some stuff. They do some stuff. They have a Hawaiian choir. They're doing a Hawaiian part Christmas, Hawaiian Christmas. They're doing all this stuff, you know. So they got me as the Hawaiian MC. I hope they don't be putting coconut leaf hats and knickers.
No, it's okay.
You don't have to do it, is what it is. I feel better now. Because this morning they just had the shoes on. I know. I was waiting for like take off. I said, oh, she had them all lined up. No, I don't know. Excuse me. You can get the first question over there. What about you? Over there, you get the first question. You don't know how to answer it. You stay over here for sacrifice to your hole. Don't worry. Right up to the top. That was like a 5 bad boy.
Walk up to the park and call. He's like, oh, you see this swarm of blue shirts. Wow! What are you planning? You know, coming up over there, and then Chris is on the stage and he's like, oh, good, you're here. Okay, now let's go. Wait, there's a plan. There's a plan.
I said, this is for the funders. And they said, so how was the numbers?
Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah.
How many people have you served the program for? I said,
I know, that's a mistake you said.
you gotta have like 10 staff of
Yeah, your job is
step. And then all you gotta do is step. Because we don't remember anything else I said. So yeah. Like, but they remember step. What you gonna do today? Oh, I get my hand step and then you're going to something.
Auntie, this is like a move of that club. How old you? What? Where you learn that from? Who's from my house with that close step? He went back to Miss Stats!
Yeah.